I don't know if anyone will show up, but I wanted to go over some headlines that are out there. I know not everybody has time to do this, so I thought if you're having your coffee or your tea or your orange juice, which I'm out of, so I'm on the spring water right now, that I figured I could read you the headlines while you relaxed or chilled or woke up and just keep up to date with all the goings on out there, and there's a lot going on. Before we get started, for new folks, this is kind of how we roll here. We research together so you can quote unquote see my work. And for people who might not understand how to research effectively and streamline it and maybe cut their time in half, it's just one of the areas I feel like I can help in these times. So I do. I'm not a doctor. No part of this is medical advice. The disclaimers are in the description. This is part testimony, part autodidaction. We are teaching ourselves, we are educating ourselves, and unindoctrinating ourselves, removing all the garbage from our vessel, our brain, our mind, and hopefully renewing it, right? I chose this picture because it's an ancient eclipse artwork. And back then, they thought that eclipses was their god dying, right? The sun was their god. That's where life came from, primarily. Anyways, it helps things to grow, keeps them green, brings life. And when that is covered, especially by the moon, it's polar opposite. That is, in essence, the sun is dying for a period of time. And so they always read them as omens, which is odd. You figure if they knew they were cyclical, that they wouldn't see them that way. And I do. I'm one of them people, I believe, that they were a lot smarter back then. And I know if you're new here, you're not going to understand that, but you have to do the research. Just look at how they're dressed and the amount of time it would take to tailor each piece to each individual. And that's how they did things back then. And the structures, the architecture, you don't see any of that happening today. You see claptrap houses with 4 walls and, a roof that are they're pretty unstable, right? A strong wind could come along and knock them over. So I think it's a good idea to look back at how our ancestors did things, just so we know, right? And we can see, and it helps to humble us and removes that pride, because having all this information at our fingertips, we can start to feel like our own gods. And while I do believe Christ himself said we were little gods, we're not the maker, we're not the creator. We are still a part of a hierarchy and underneath or covered by the will of another, of a superior being. Because anytime you try to make a copy or multiplication happens, you see a degradation. Trey Smith said that we are copies of a copy of a copy of a copy, and that's why our lives get shorter, we get smaller, and yada yada yada. So good morning, welcome. Let me turn the comments on. There we go. And so over here you'll see that what I was saying. In ancient China, a solar eclipse signaled that the sun was being devoured by a dragon. People would bang drums and make loud noises to scare off the beast and bring back daylight. It is so interesting, the wording that is used and how much more eloquent they are with their storytelling and just their daily rituals or habits. We call them today, not rituals, habits. Potatoes. So real quick, a quick little testimony here. Well, again, I give a couple minutes for people to show up. Usually I try to give 5. So I told y'all I wasn't going to be giving DNA to anyone. It's not in my plans, right, to have a DNA test or anything like that. It would probably help me a lot as far as my past goes, but I can't guarantee that the results I get would be legitimate or honest. They say DNA doesn't lie, but the people who create the tests and the people who do the testing, and the people who deliver those results do lie. This is how people are falsely convicted every single day. I believe that's part of the tribulation. I believe that's going to be what starts happening en masse. You'll see that. But again, it might be a good idea if we are all in one place. That might prove better than how we're being kept apart at this time. So I went to the doctor and he wanted to check my blood for my thyroid. I allegedly have Hashimoto's. Says, and again, I'm not a doctor. This is my life. This is my testimony. Sorry, Sammy's getting cozy. We've been up a long time already, so forgive me. I'm not feeling well. I have a sore throat, and I haven't had one of those in years since I had that sinus surgery I told you guys about. And my son is ill. And regardless of how they treat me, I still try to do for them and serve them and have that true Christian mindset, you know. Charity starts at home and all that. So I went out on my bike to get him medicine and went to a couple different places to get a couple different things. And now I have a sore throat. And I'm broke for the rest of the month. So I'm going to have to do like home remedies. So forgive me if I'm sipping on my water or my tea while you guys are listening. But he went to get this blood work done. And I really wasn't feeling it. And I told him that. And again, my last conversation with him or video thing was weird. And I'm not even going to get into that. So I went right downstairs to get this blood work done. I figured, you know, I'd be compliant. And again, I think our blood is precious. I don't think we should be handing it out the way that we do. But I went down to get it done, and the girl asked me, like, have you fasted for 10 hours? And I said, well, I just had a couple Fritos and chili cheese Fritos in the, there in the lobby. And she said, oh, well, you're supposed to fast for 10 hours. And I said, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And so I didn't have to do that. I already had it in my heart not to be giving my bodily fluids away to people, and God, the universe, source, whatever you call it, the maker, creator, father, mother, I'm not going to be offended. I don't operate that way. I am not afraid of words nor symbols, and I'm not afraid of much other than the wrath of God, and that's why I do this. And we should feel that way. There's a point. We should love ourselves the right way, and we should love others the right way. And we're not doing that. And all you have to do is go on Reddit or go in any convenience store and see how people are treating each other. And it's apparent. So that's why I do this as well. All right, so let's get into it. Headlines. There's a lot here. I'm going to kind of go as quick as I can. But these are just headlines that I handpicked, okay, from the Google. I sign in on an anonymous account. And that way there is no history. And it just gives me whatever it's going to give me, the algorithm. And as always, I want you to look between the lines or read between the lines and try to decipher what's not being said. Because sometimes these current event news stories are telling you something else, or they are messages being sent from one elite to the other. That way there's no paper trail or electronic trail through email and things like that. Those are harder to decipher because they're codes that only those people know, like, this is from so-and-so, and this is, and it has certain numbers in it all the time. And anything like that the fallen are responsible for, you see that 33. Because it's a mockery of Christ, and it's actually a mockery of the Catholic Church. If that ain't the true church, why is it mocked so much? But again, I'm not going to debate because everybody is welcome here. I love my Hindu brothers and sisters. I love my Muslim brothers and sisters. I love my Christian brothers and sisters. And I love and pray for those who are lost to darkness. They are still our brothers and sisters in mankind. Maybe not in God or the Spirit of God, but in mankind, they are. So I try to do things differently on this channel. I use a cell phone to operate. I apologize that that's not posh, and I don't have bells and whistles, but I don't have a talent agent either. And I don't have sponsorship, which means I can pretty much say what I please. Aside from, God and offending him. So let's get down to it. All right, so I knew when I saw this picture that it was fake. And I told you guys that. I think I mentioned it a couple of streams ago. Now, look, you can just tell. The way that person is sitting there, the arms are too long, and there is no wrist, right? There's no, it's just like the tips of the hands. Um, Come on, man. I want to see the picture. There's a lot of ads on this one. I apologize. There's really nothing you can do about it.
Are you ready to meet your demise?
Not at all. Please stop. Oh my God. That's funny that that's what it sent me, of course. Oh man, it's because it's a live stream and it doesn't let me. What are you doing here? Lock, I said. Okay, see? There's no wrist. And see how the material is bleeding into each other? Now, again, I don't think any of that picture is real. None of it. I think it was totally generated by AI. It was not normal, even for AI standards. Now, they released an apology because they said that she did it herself, Kate Middleton. Let me just say that it really looks like history is repeating itself here with what happened to their mother, what happened to Diana. I told you a long time ago, and again, this isn't about me, but it's about confirmation and it's about people seeing that there is something bigger happening here behind the scenes, especially to women. And I'm not leaving the men out. We're going to get to the science aspect in a moment. Just bear with me for a minute, please. Enjoy your coffee, wake up, whatever it is you do. Speaking of, excuse me while I take a sip of my tea. You know, as a mother, we don't expect anything in return for caring for our children. My son is an adult now, and I still got on my bike and went and got him medicine because he doesn't drive either. And that's a whole nother story. By choice, like me, but it's different, I think, with him. But anyways, excuse me, we don't expect anything in return. We're not doing things because we expect anything in return. But it is surprising and it is disappointing and it is shocking when they don't display some of the good characteristics or morals that you tried to bestow upon them. I thought I was a good mother for a long time, reading the Bible and understanding what real love is and having God love me, and recognizing his love again because he never stopped loving me. Anyways, it really, we don't expect anything in return. However, to not even get a thank you or a hug or, you know, to have my family drastically change basically overnight, that's why I do this, is to reach people and say, hey, there's something deeper here happening. There's something going on. Now, I already told you, I kind of believe that some of these people might be proxies for other people. I'm not sure how that works yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still praying on it and meditating on it. But for example, like everybody that voted for Joe Biden right now because they signed their name off on him for 4 years, right now they are probably under bondage, under some type of spiritual bond to that man, and probably behaving in ways that aren't quote unquote normal for that individual because I'm seeing it everywhere. There's a prevalence of people with red hair everywhere on YouTube now and as big channels. I'm not saying anything bad or negative. Just follow me here. And that's a characteristic of Prince Harry, right? And we are seeing a lot of women of color come into their own. And Harry married Meghan, right? And she's an influential woman of color. So we're seeing these things, whoever people support, or whoever they took oaths to in these secret societies, they are now taking on that individual's or the spirit that's ruling that individual's characteristics. NPCs, clones. I take it back to the Bible when the spirit answered and its name was being asked, and it says, "My name is Legion," because we are many. And that's why you have so many people acting in similar ways. But I believe that something happened to the princess It seems like the line of succession is changing every single day. And I told you about that with the coronation of Charles. He's a little older. He honestly doesn't seem to want to take part in that office. He seems to just be kind of trying to keep in the shadows and kind of enjoying his life with Camilla. So honestly, he never seemed to me to be super interested in being a part of the monarchy, at least not visibly, right? Not very visibly. And you can see the media kind of makes fun of him. And now the media, or whoever's in charge of the media and what they say, they're blaming Kate for this. They're saying that, oh, she had a stunning record in the family with her reputation, but now because she put this fake photo up, listen, listen, that is total hogwash. You can tell that they're trying to gaslight people just by reading it. This woman has never done anything, but when they were first engaged and they went on their honeymoon, she was caught topless. But they didn't get a picture of it, right? And the queen backed her and said, you should be ashamed of yourself. These are young people enjoying their wedding. And they pulled the pictures and they protected her. So she is beloved even in the family. But once you saw the queen go, you saw, like, much as you do in regular families, the vultures come out. And these ones, they're not just into money. They don't care about that. They want the influence and the power of the position that these positions will bring. And there is another person, a husband, and an in-law or whatever, a cousin of this royal family. There's several of them, right? Who just died, who just passed away. And Charles was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So you see everything taking place, and now Harry, and I'll get into that in a minute. I don't know if I posted that link. But anyway, you see they're kind of trying to trash her reputation here, all right? There we go. I just saved these all to my Samsung Notes. That way I could just grab them up. Let me show you here, if I can. Prince Harry. And what's the other one's name? I don't even remember his name. They went on a recent... Alright, here. Prince William and Prince Harry appear separately at ceremony honoring Princess Diana. Prince Harry jokes with winners at Diana Legacy after William gives speech and leaves. Okay, she's still not publicly making any appearances, okay? And Meghan, she's gotten very skinny. She looks like Jessica Simpson, if you pay attention. And she just had a child. So there is something going on. And there was a lot of pregnant people a couple years ago. And again, I don't believe in abortion any longer because that is part of my testimony. And I'll do another video on that. I did once, but I deleted the channel. And again, I didn't mean to delete everything the way it went. I didn't know that YouTube was going to act the way that they did. I didn't care about the views. I didn't care about that number going away or whatever. I didn't care about, I just thought I'd be able to keep the videos and get rid of the subscribers so it would unattach some of the demonic trolls that I had following me. So you're seeing a lot of things happen here. Are Prince Harry and Meghan Markle trying to outshine William Kate Middleton amid royal crisis? They're everywhere, okay? Harry and Meghan are being seen everywhere, and everyone else in the family is kind of avoiding them. It's very... and you saw that he just left. So who is behind all of these going-ons, right? Well, spiritually speaking, it's God at the tip top, right? But he lets Satan have his fun from time to time. Why? I'm not sure. Okay, that's weird. Meghan Markle proves she takes the lead in Prince Harry marriage with this week. So anyway, you get the picture. You get what I'm saying. There is something going on here, I believe, and I don't think, unfortunately, the Duchess, something will probably come out very soon because they're going to have to say something. However, we know green screens can be used to a great extent. If these people all knew that something was coming, if these events are cyclical, it's very possible they are in their underground bunkers making all these made up videos with green screens and whatnot. Or it's old from a couple of years ago and it's just now getting to us. I saw the last RT video I saw, because then they took it off. When I started showing people stuff on there, ironically, my small channel, they shut RT down, RT News on YouTube America. So yeah, but we were able to see giant people on the RT news feed on a 24-hour. Somebody just left a camera on by the side of the road as they were filming some strange goings-ons and political things, and you could see how set up it all was. And there was a giant being walking around with a towel around its neck, and people were wearing headsets. Now, people said this to me too. That was one of the clues I got. Somebody told me to buy earplugs. Again, this is stuff that I was able to prove. I did have the video and saved the screenshots. And I also saved the video of the Mexico earthquake from 2019 when it showed a bunch of trees being pushed aside, but you couldn't see anything else. Like whatever it was cloaked. And it was like something was literally walking through the trees. And I also showed you when that, what was it? That telescope satellite went down in China. It was, again, it was a multinational effort. But when you see it like go down, it looks like whatever took it down was cloaked or hidden. And it wasn't just, I can't remember what they blamed, but it was very bizarre. There's a lot of things, again, you have to read between the headlines. So here's another one. This is probably the most important of these from today. 80-year-old man cloned sheep via illegal animal parts to create, hunt enormous hybrid species. Now, hold that thought. I want to show you something. It's rather gross, but I want you to see it because my son showed me these videos a long time ago on YouTube. And when I knew they were doing, that random people were doing things like this, I knew then that we were in big trouble. Check this out. What is a homunculus? What is a homunculus? How do you create them? A very small human or humanoid creature, a supposed microscopic but fully formed human being from which a fetus was formerly believed to develop. There's a guy on YouTube. They shut all his stuff down. It says, do not try. Okay? Making a homunculus. The men are taking their life essence, we'll call it, because that's what it is. That's why fornication, making love, it has to have love over it, and the intention has to be to create life, or at least you have to be open to creating life. There are certain things that are done by us. All of us have, most of us, consenting adults, have done certain things at one time or another, right? But to discard that, because it has potential for life, is considered almost sacrilegious. And to do something like this is truly an abomination. I'm not promoting this in any way, shape, or form. I want you to know what's going on out there. These are real things people are doing. July 25th, 2023. Now, again, there was a guy, 2013, there you go, who was making these, all right? It's a man taking a regular chicken egg, and they put their own life essence into it. They save it and put it in there. See him? He's going to inject, well, he's not going to inject it. There he goes. And they create these alleged beings. Of course it's going to look weird. It's an abomination. Now, the one guy that was doing it, and he had a live little one at first shut his channel down or got shut down. And so, yeah, who knows if it's still alive. But this is not new, but it is more, what's the word I'm looking for? Rampant at this time, if you want to popularize in 16th century alchemy, right? So it's almost like an org from Lord of the Rings, kind of. And I wanted to show you that in case you're unaware of things like that. Thank you for being here. If you do understand the verbiage and the reading between the headlines, and if you just appreciate the channel, please give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. But it's not, again, it's not for views. The channel's not monetized. It will probably never be monetized. So an 80-year-old man cloned sheep via illegal animal parts to create, hunt enormous hybrid species. So let's talk about the premeditation of this act first real quick, please. He's 80 years old. He created this plan. Obviously, he worked on it for years, or at least a long time, okay? And apparently he knows what he's doing, because he succeeded. Via illegal animal parts. I'd like to know what classifies as illegal animal parts. A Montana man pleaded guilty after making plans to let paying customers onto his property to hunt sheep. Is that a side warning to us, the sheep of the Lord? But according to Gizmodo, the sheep were not the typical varieties found in Montana or in nature. These massive hybrid sheep were created by illegally importing animal parts from Central Asia, which the man then used to clone the animals. This resulted in an enormous hybrid species. Okay, so where is it? Can I see an image of that? What did you do with it? Did you kill it immediately? Arthur Jack Schubarth, 80, is the owner and operator of Sun River Enterprises, LLC in Vaughan, Montana. Okay, the primary market for the 215-acre alternative livestock ranch was captive hunting operations where trophy hunting customers would pay to hunt the animals kept there. I had a relative who did this, and I'm not trying to down that person because I actually really appreciate this person. They just know something about everything. They build things. They can things. Like, I just really appreciated this man being in my life, even in a small way, and I could just glean a little bit of his knowledge. People thought when I was so quiet that I was just dumb or there was nothing in my head, but I was observing and I was listening, even though people don't think I was. I was. Oh, I got a missed call. Imagine that when I'm doing a video. I got the iPhone that I want to do the streaming from to check it out and see if that's a little better on your end. But there is no option to screen share on the live app through Apple on YouTube on the phone. If anyone has experience with that, shoot me a message in the comments or shoot me a message at my Gmail, please. Okay, so Schubert was aided by an unnamed accomplice. Unnamed, that's great. Who would smuggle in biological material. What does that mean? Just say what it is. From the Marco Polo sheep, the largest sheep in the world from Kyrgyzstan. An average male Marco Polo sheep can weigh over 300 pounds with horns stretching as far as 5 feet. Okay, so if this thing is already a gigantic version of the species, right? Offshoot. Why are you going to make that thing bigger? But yeah, what you do is like it's a menu basically. They give you a menu. And if you're willing to pay the price, you go sit in a tree stand and that animal will walk right by you because they feed them every day like a petting zoo. And then you shoot it. Then you get your picture taken. Then you have it processed for you. Sometimes you do it yourself, maybe. What is wrong with us that we do things like that? And again, it's us. I'm including myself, even though I've never done such a thing like that. I don't understand the whole, why would you want to do that? It doesn't take any skill. At least the Native American Indians, they had spears and their fishing was completely different, right? They were really skilled individuals. And the way we just have tossed them aside and are learning nothing from them is also going to come back to bite us in the you-know-what. And so if these things are already that big, how big did you want this thing to be? Because how could you control it then, right? As an endangered species, Marco Polo sheep are protected by both international and U.S. law. Montana also forbids the importing of foreign sheep or their parts to protect local animals from the spread of disease. Okay, what are you using their parts for, though? What would you want animal certain parts for? That sounds to me like poaching. Very close, anyways. The Department of Justice said that Schubert sent the parts to an unidentified lab where, oh my God. Again, I don't read these before. Where 165 embryos were clones. Are you kidding me? Those embryos were then implanted into ewes on his ranch. Oh my God, man. I'm sorry. Like, guys, lately I am so distraught over the things that are happening in society. And I know, turn the phone off, don't watch that stuff. And I don't, right? I do get out, especially when the weather's nice. And I like to share those videos with you guys for the purpose of bringing people back to nature a little bit and then back to themselves. But if this is legit and things like this are going on out there, this is why. This is why you'll see certain things start happening. This is why people have been handed over to a reprobate mind. I'm telling you, I talk to certain people and I'm like, that's not true. You told me blah, 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 blah 2 weeks ago, right? And the person rages at me and gets mad at me for simply saying, well, this is what you said. So that's why I did that, because that's what you said you wanted or whatever. Or no, you didn't say that. I remember that conversation. That's not the stance you took in this. Everything is the opposite now. And they're so set in their mindsets now it's all about being right. And if any of you are still like that, please come out of it. Please learn that you are not the end all be all, right? We need to have some humility in these times, especially when things like this are going on. The more of us who pray, meditate on good things, heavenly things, things above, right? Higher vibrational frequencies. The more of us who do this, the more of us who are extra charitable, extra shiny, right? The more maybe we can mitigate or balance out the darkness. And it's our responsibility, it's our obligation to do that. Wow. He then used the sheep to artificially inseminate female sheep, leading to the birth of animals that were a hybrid species that would then be used for hunting. He forged veterinarian inspection certificates. He sold the sheep to other farmers and offered to sell its offspring for $10,000. He pled guilty to violating the Lacey Act, which forbids acquiring, transporting, or selling wildlife against federal laws. At least 5 other people were part of the conspiracy to transport and breed the hybrid animals, though they are not named in the indictment. Okay, so where did they go? That's the most important thing that's not being told here. What did they do with these cloned animals, especially if they're gigantic? People are already seeing and having strange experiences in the national parks, which I think is directly related to Native American Indians, and their, what do you call them? Their boundaries or whatever that they set for certain things have worn off, and nobody has that knowledge or wisdom anymore because they're being gotten rid of. And again, you don't have to agree with me when I read between the headlines like this, but at least start asking questions. Like, what did they do with these animals? Where did they go then, right? I'm so grossed out. I don't know what to say. Like, that's gross to me. Okay, so this is weird, you guys. Anyone who wasn't here, if you go back a couple of weeks, we were talking about the cocoa plant and how coffee and cocoa, hot chocolate, are actually offerings to gods. That's how it started, and we didn't know that. And again, it's good to understand where these daily habits come from, right? But this is wild because we were just talking about cocoa beans, and I gave up chocolate for Lent. Pretty much for good, I'm giving up chocolate and coffee. So to me, this is weird. This is another one of those synchronicities. And you guys, please feel free to comment and talk. I mean, this is a group effort. Let's hear how you see these stories. Let's see how you're interpreting them, right? I'm not the end all be all authority on anything. I'm barely an authority on my own self. That's why I give my will to God. Let me be under your will, Lord, because I mess everything up when I make decisions by myself. But also when I listen to other people, actually, is when they go astray. I don't listen to that inner intuition, right? That inner conscience, that God voice within. So I thought this was a wild synchronicity. We were just talking about this. African cocoa plants run out of beans as global chocolate crisis deepens. I had no idea we were in a chocolate crisis, or I would have done my part, right? Like I love chocolate, and that's why I'm giving it up for Lent, because it has to be a sacrifice of something you love, not a blood sacrifice. Christ already did that, right? Just your own daily, the refinement of your spirit and your will. This is how you discipline yourself, is through denial. And once you're able to discipline yourself, you are the master of your own domain. You're able to better control yourself. Regardless of whether we're under God's will or not, that doesn't mean we're not going to mess up and make the wrong choice, right? So we need to have strong minds and strong wills, okay? So this is while processing plants cannot afford to buy beans, consumers around the world to pay for more chocolate, market could be heading for fourth year of deficit. I had no idea this was going on. Major African cocoa plants in Ivory Coast and Ghana have stopped or cut processing because they cannot afford to buy beans. Four trading sources said, meaning chocolate prices around the world are likely to soar. So we have all these excuses as well, right? This is the excuse and the reason for inflation. It reminds me, this is how you cross-reference, and again, this is what this channel does. Our channel, not my channel, excuse me. This is our channel. That's why I like you guys to participate and give me your opinions. Okay, all of the trees and all, but do not touch the olive branches. Okay, I want New Testament, so I'm going to click on that. And I want Revelation, because that's probably where this is. Oh, it's not in Revelation. Oh, there it is. There we go. Right there. Okay. And locusts went forth, and this is Revelation, what, 9:3. And I always, you don't want to read just a bit of it. And locusts went forth from the smoke of the well into the earth, and power was given to them, like the power that the scorpions of the earth have. Huh. And it was commanded of them that they must not harm the plants of the earth, nor anything green, nor any tree, but only those men who do not have the seal upon their foreheads. And where is the olive oil comment? Angel of the abyss. Release the four angels who were bound at the great river Euphrates. They were released who had been prepared for that hour in order to kill 1/3 part of the men. Okay, where is the olive oil one? I don't want this to be a biblical video just because it can get kind of deep, and it, I try to keep, but that's the whole point, right? Is seeing where current events coincide with prophecy. And it doesn't just mean the Bible. That's why we looked at the Hopi prophecy in the last video. The Hopi prophecy is directly related to iPet Goat 2 as well. And I touched on that. I don't know if I did a full video on it. I'll have to check. But hey, I love cinnamon. Okay, hold please, because that bothers me when I can't find something. Verse about not touching the olive tree in end times. On the Mount of Olives? No. Zechariah 19:11. That's the two witnesses though. There's a verse, and I'll find it, and I'll post it in the comment section, because I want to keep going. Okay, so chocolate, I guess, is a thing, and that's wild, because we just talked about it. I tell you, the Holy Spirit leads, and I just listen, and that's why I do this, because I totally feel that God asked me to be a witness, and so that's what I'm doing. So chocolate, right? Okay, well, okay, I must have grabbed this twice. But are they ever going to say audacious scheme? Audacious. MMK. We want to see the real ones, though, don't you? Like, I want to see how big these things are. And now they're talking about bringing back a woolly mammoth. You got to be crazy. There ain't nothing smaller you can bring back? That's nuts. Like, why would you do that? Okay. Now here we have a little eclipse news. Schools across Pennsylvania closed for the April 8th eclipse. This is strange to me because during the last eclipse, the schools were open and my son, they made the glasses. It was a whole thing. And we weren't in the path of totality, so maybe that's why. But then they're telling everybody to enjoy the eclipse. Get outside and look at it. No, man. No. I don't want to, I don't want to know. I wonder what time it's hit for Ohio. 3:16 in western Pennsylvania. What time will it be here? So all of these schools are closing, okay, that are in that line of thing. Now I get it. Like, people are going to be traveling. You might not have enough supplies or inventory. That part I understand. But it seems to me maybe they really are trying to keep people safe. Stay home, stay safe. In freeze tag, home was always the base, right? While you're at home, you can't be touched. This is why I say, wear your tent with you before you go out. Pray goodness over you, pray protection over yourself, and, be aware. Excuse me. This is also strange, all these things coming out at the same time. The key to our past lies in a remote corner of South Africa and way down on the seafloor of the coast of New Zealand. Together, they shed light on the world in its infancy and offer unexpected clues about the origin of the planet as we know it today, and possibly life itself. The geological formations in this region have proved difficult to decipher despite many attempts. They claim that Belt's rock bed is inconsistent with our widely accepted understanding of plate tectonics. I'm showing you this because what they're saying here is that everything they knew about earthquakes, plate tectonics, right? That's allegedly what creates the earthquakes, makes the earth move. They're admitting that they had it all wrong. Same thing that they said about dark matter recently. They had it all wrong. All right? It's funny that they're going to admit that, but now look at this. Look at this. Now, what I tell you about deciphering the clues in the headlines. In the Barberton Greenstone Belt created somewhat. How many? 3.3 billion years. This is either a message to somebody or that's their signature letting you know that it's them who put this information out. But they're basically saying that they did not have any idea truly how the tectonic plates operated and how earthquakes happen. And now they have to go back to the beginning to figure out how these rocks became lodged in this certain place when they shouldn't be. So it's pretty wild. I didn't want to get into that too much. You guys, I will leave the links. It'll take a minute to post them all. If you really want them, you can look them up yourself. They're all on Google. Okay, so this, again, why is this word everywhere? Again, I've talked about trending words, trending vocabulary that is saturated in the media for a certain point in time, just like the word sacrifice. Even Baby Rexha did a song called, many artists did songs called Sacrifice a few years back. They've been telling us and telling us. They put it in front of you and you don't resist. So what's a transgenic cow? Like, I don't understand that. What does that mean? And this is a part of my testimony too. For some reason, it wasn't just Asian spas that were in the history data. That was insulin and an insulin site. And this is the first time I've seen any mention of something changing with that over the last few years. So I wanted us to take a look at it. But I hope everybody who watched the video about the State of the Union address, the uploads aren't getting very many views, you guys. So just to let you know, there are shorter versions. I try to make the uploads that are before or after the long streams kind of related. That way people who just want to like take a minute can get the summation or the summary of the idea or concept that we're talking about in the live stream. But in this state, excuse me, like I said, I have a sore throat from riding my bike yesterday to get my son his medicine. So, trans is a huge word. It's everywhere. We have transmutation with Christ, right? His body transmutated. Transmuted. What's the other one? There's another one. I have the book right in my... Oh, it's out in the other room. Fiddlesticks. But trans, that word, is everywhere. Transhumanisms. Transgender, right? Trans means what? Transition. You're transitioning from one thing to another. You're going to be something else. Something other than what you are now. This is all directly related to the stem cells. People say, oh, they do great work for people. They save lives. If you're trying to save your life that badly, there's something wrong, man. Death is but a shadow. It's but a moment. Okay? And here in our Western culture, we really have allowed you only live once to kind of take over. And there's all this bad behavior happening because people are saying, you know, you have people that go to two extremes. You have the one group who's like, well, I appreciate life and the sanctity of life, so I'm going to try and walk this out to the best of my ability and not harm anyone else. Then you have the other group is, well, you only live once, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to get mine while I'm here, right? So, again, binary system, binary society, polar opposites, right? Extremism, one end to the other. But you do have the word transmutation in regards to the resurrection of Christ, okay? I want to relate this in a way people will understand it. Alchemically speaking, you can take a bad experience like trauma and turn it into something good. That is alchemy, in a sense, okay? You are taking that energy and you are using it to motivate you to do something else. That's what I've tried to do with this targeting and people watching me business, is I've tried to allow it, and mocking me. It's really humbling, and I've tried to allow it to humble me and teach me things, even from people who I know don't like me. Everybody, I try to have a takeaway of something that they taught me, right? Anyway, trans. It's a huge word. It's everywhere. What does it mean? Well, it means you're mutating. Your genes are going to mutate. Your genes are going to be edited. A genetically modified cow, a GMO cow, we don't know how it's been modified, has produced milk containing human insulin. And again, I don't know if AI is in charge and running things. I don't know if my idea of science is really that backwards. But can someone please tell me how a cow produces human insulin? Because I would love to know that. The proof of concept, and again, that's something you do with dissertations and essays. So proof of concept, or businesses that you want to create. The proof of concept achievement could be scaled up. That's what it is. This is a test, right? It's a beta test to do something bigger, better, they think. The proof of concept achievement could be scaled up to eventually produce enough insulin to ensure availability and reduce costs for all diabetics requiring the life-maintaining drug. First of all, let's be clear. I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. This is my opinion from doing years of research into ancient writings such as the Essene Gospels. The Essene Gospels give us a couple pieces of advice. The main one being Do not, where you have things grow, do not have your compost. And do not, how do I say this politely? You cannot allow your, what is it called? Your sewage system, right? Or if you just dig one up, you cannot allow bodily waste to come in contact with your food that you're growing, aka fertilizer. They advise against that in ancient texts. So, of course, they want you to think we're running out. Last summer, everybody went out and bought a bunch because they told you we were running out. Everybody's behaving just like they want you to. It's reverse psychology. That's what it all is. Anything to corrupt us, okay? There are wolves, literal wolves, in sheep's clothing. What is sheep's clothing? We are called sheep when we are children of God, right? When we are made of God, we're called sheep. What is sheep's clothing? It is your flesh. There are literal wolves in the flesh, aka Nephilim brats, who have kind of taken over some of these preachers, pastors, priests, and they're offering us bad teachings and bad concepts, bad ideologies, and the whole point is just to corrupt us. That's all it is to corrupt you. YouTube is a cistern, if you that's the word I was actually looking for. If you look at it right and you stay out of certain areas. There's a lot of areas of YouTube and the internet, all they want to do is gossip or play the blame game or get into arguments about politics. It's best to steer clear of all of that garbage. Again, because they are not advising properly. How in the heck does a cow, unless, okay, it's a GMO cow, right? It's a GMO cow, and we know that a lot of scientists, too, are possessed or led by fallen angel ideology, aka anything to ruin a human being, anything to corrupt us. All right? So that makes me think, like, if they're GMO cows, were there human parts put in them to create them? Was it a human embryo, perhaps? Why is this cow producing human insulin? Or is that a play on words? Is it really a cow they're talking about? Transgenic cattle could boost insulin production and lower its costs. Okay. There's another one. I mean, they're pretty and all. The human insulin producing transgenic cow at Monsanto and others. Current insulin production requires high-tech facilities and infrastructure, which the U.S. is like, our infrastructure is terrible. That's what they were supposed to do with the stimulus of 2008 when Obama was in office, and it never got done. I've never seen any of it updated since I've been alive or since I've been living here. All right, let's look at the next one. NASA enlists citizen scientists to help solve solar mysteries during the total solar eclipse of 2024. Strong hold, strong stop. There's a video I did on both channels, I think, and very few people remember this, and I want to remind you because it's right before CV started, okay? Like a year before. During the 2017 eclipse, it took me about a year to notice that things had changed and were different, all right? Because I was just finding God. He was literally waking me up as all this stuff was happening. And I was literally walking around like a hypnotized person for years. That's why I did things so outside of my own moral compass and value system. Excuse me. Water. Okay, so before the last eclipse, and I can Google it for you guys if you want to see it. There is a video way back on this channel. I believe it's on here. I hope. 2017, some strange things took place before the eclipse. There were, just like this, NASA got 7 or 8 people, all students from a specific school. I forget which school right now. And they put bacteria in balloons and let them go into the atmosphere to see how the atmospheric pressure would affect the bacteria. Okay, so I assume you have trackers on them somehow. What happens if they break? Does it just fall down onto the ground then? and become somebody's garden next year? Like, what is this about? What are you doing that for? Why are you putting a bacteria, which allegedly, per germ theory, bacteria, according to science, right? This is not me. This is science speaking. Bacteria is what causes certain illness. So why did they do that? Is it some type of ritual? The balloons had to be red. Strange. So let's see how similar this is. Okay, everyone who sees the total solar eclipse from within the path of totality gets fixated on the sun's majestic corona. It's the only time it can be seen with the naked eye and photographed. See, I'd really like to do that. But again, I don't want to. I'm concerned, like the black hole sun. I'm concerned it's some type of portal. And I know you guys think I'm weird for saying that. But I feel like it does something to people because people changed a lot last time. Like, again, it took me a while to notice, but everybody's, for me, people that I knew, their values, all that stuff, even their sexual orientation of people who have children and were married for years. Everybody just flipped, man. Oh, and back to the Kate Middleton thing, I wanted to let you know how similar I thought that was to Physic Girl's situation. She has two men near her, one her husband. She fell ill right after being married, so if insurance is an issue, I'd be concerned there. And the other guy has a channel on YouTube. They're referring everyone to his channel now. Did they just not like that woman because she was successful and in quote-unquote a man's arena in physics? Because this is all really upsetting to me. It is. It hurts my heart, and I'm surprised. It just shows the apathy that it's not bothering anyone else. I don't know, guys. I turned the comments on, but, like, there aren't any for the last several videos. And, yeah, it is concerning to me. I'm not going to lie. But I'm more concerned if nobody's commenting or having a discussion. I would like to know why. Why are you not talking? Why are we not sharing ideas anymore? I don't know. Even if it is just my enemies watching, I keep going because maybe their heart will be touched eventually. Another layer, the chromosphere, is also revealed during the totality. Chromosphere. Huh. Between the sun's surface, the photosphere, and the corona, the chromosphere is a layer of superheated gas or plasma that jets and plumes of plasma float on their way to space. But there's a problem. Solar physics don't know how much of the sun's mass is leaving the sun. Total solar eclipses provide information to the solar community that can't be provided in any other way, right? That's the only way you can test it, is to observe it, and they don't come around every day. Why? I hate ads. It's impossible to see how far using NASA's Space-Based Solar Dynamics Observatory, blah, blah. It uses an occulter. That's an interesting word, occulter, to block the sun's bright disk, but to ensure that none of the sun's light damages the optics, it has to block the chromosphere. But that's where the action happens. We have the opportunity to calculate the density of the plasma as it moves out by capturing the scattered visible white light. See, and they're telling everyone to go do this, to go outside and watch it. Kind of like they did the first time, but the first time they didn't close all these schools and everything. Oh, okay, hold on. We'll produce about 1,200 images of the corona and chromosphere. As a fresh scientist, the results will be compared to the same project from 2017. It was supported by Google and relied on 2,000 smartphone owners downloading an app to take and upload over 34,000 images of the eclipsed sun. This effort to produce a video pieced together from images collected by citizen scientists along the path was an outreach success. But scientifically, it was not as valuable as was hoped. Okay. Better equipment. It's hoped the Eclipse Mega Movie 2024 will achieve something more detailed and more dramatic. Yes, and it will not be a solar minimum this time. It will be a solar maximum Do not be surprised if your cell phone stops working, okay? Speaking of which, while I'm thinking of it, I don't want to forget and not tell you guys. This is what happened a while back, okay? The Carrington event was the most intense geomagnetic storm in recorded history, peaking from 1 to September 1859 during solar cycle 10. It says we have 11 solar cycles we just read in that other article. Hold, please. Where'd it go? Oh, that's the wrong one. Huh. Anyways, let's do this real quick. It was the most intense geomagnetic storm, okay? And caused sparking and even fires in multiple telegraph stations. And look at everything we have today, and how the grid is connected, and how close the houses are to each other. And I told you the electric system, all the symbols and stuff are occult symbols and seals. The geomagnetic storm was most likely the result of a coronal, a CME, from the sun colliding with Earth's magnetosphere. So it was most likely the result of a coronal mass ejection from the sun colliding with the Earth's magnetosphere. It lasted for 2 days. There was severe damage to telegraph stations worldwide. Okay? Now that you have cell phones, a geomagnetic storm of this magnitude occurring today would cause widespread electrical disruptions, blackouts, and damage due to extended outages of the electrical power grid. See, they still knew how to do things back then. They had candles everywhere, oil, lamps, and such. So it didn't affect them as much as it would affect a society today. Okay, so I'm going to look. Will the eclipse have CMEs? CMEs. Because the sun is more active in 2024, it's more likely that scientists could study a coronal mass ejection, CME, shooting off the left side of the sun during the eclipse, as in this video of the sun from 2012. Ground-based observers would be able to watch a CME traveling out from the sun. That's when you see those little pink, those little things outside on the ring. Kind of like the Eye of Sauron, right? I was just reading something yesterday talking about how these beings, I have the book right here. Please don't go anywhere because this is actually important. And I knew I was reading this for some purpose. I just didn't know why. Native Americans and the Star People. That's not quite right. I'll find where it is and I'll do a little add-on maybe. But in this book I told you about yesterday, it talks about how this one scientist doesn't any longer believe that aliens are flesh and bone. He believes they can travel to and from. He believes they are angels. And he believes they're made of plasma. So let me ask you this. Let's take this a step further and let's theorize for a second. If the sun is putting off CMEs, right? And if the CMEs are made of plasma, and if the black hole sun is possibly a portal, what do you think staring at it would do to somebody? I'm just asking. Legitimately. Nobody's talking. I'm getting bummed out. And it's been this way for a while now. I don't know why you guys aren't chatting like you usually do. Okay, so what's this one about? I wanted to just let you know, I thought this was interesting. Over 1,000 gallons of methylene chloride spilled at the Pfizer plant. It seems like people in every branch, high-tech, pharmaceuticals, religion, politics, and even up to the royal families, it seems like everybody is fighting for their spot, right? To take that top spot. Nobody wants to be runner-up anymore. So to me, it seems like that's what's happening. People are taking out their competition either by humiliation, deception, or outright just blunt honesty. But that's, to me, that's what's happening everywhere with all of this. But I just wanted you to see that. And I wanted you to see this because, again, there's a lot going on with genetics. And this is important because anyone who is scripturally based, we are told that in the end days, it will be like the days of Noah. And that means a few different things. They continued to eat, marry, and what was the other word? Eat, drink, and be merry, right? They continued to eat, drink, and marry. That goes a lot deeper than people understand. It doesn't just mean they were taken off guard, right? Everybody, they didn't listen to Noah's warnings. Everybody was taken off guard and they all drowned because they didn't listen to the person giving the warning. There are so many people out there like me who are trying to warn about things that are happening out there, and how nothing is as it seems. So again, it would be good for a few people who don't know how to see things and read between the headlines yet to see these videos. So if you do understand it yourself, please give the video a thumbs up. Otherwise, I'm going to presume that you don't comprehend what I'm trying to say. Excuse me, more spring water. So scientists just got closer to creating artificial life in the lab. This is the road to how life can arise in a laboratory. A controversial theory posits that life began when RNA spontaneously began to replicate itself, and now researchers are claiming they've replicated part of that process in a lab. Scientists say they've created an RNA molecule that made copies of other types of RNA. This reminds me of that episode on Doctor Who, and I think there's one on Star Trek too, about the replicators. I think that's what they're called. Replicators. Like these little black cubes that can replicate and multiply and fix things, they think. And they don't like flesh and blood life. They don't like us. They're very AI, computer-minded, like nanobots, right? This is getting serious. People say, well, I don't care. It doesn't involve me. I'm not going to be here forever, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure why everybody's so apathetic. I think maybe it's something in the water, literally. I don't know at this time. But it is upsetting. I feel bad. Okay, the Salk Institute for Biological Studies scientists worked from the theory that before there was DNA or proteins, RNA existed as the initial ingredient in this so-called primordial soup. You can see an example of that in that movie Prometheus. How his parts, his life essence, created new life, went off and multiplied, right? So you could say that that guy is their God and he is inside of all of them, kind of like our Holy Spirit. As part of their research, they created a lab-made RNA molecule that accurately copied others and resulted in a functioning enzyme. But if you put that into a person, because it's not natural, it could do the opposite and cause negative or bad mutations, leading to unforeseen side effects. And again, I know this because I'm a daily scientist. I study so much and I experiment with things so much. And I read a whole lot. Reading is no replacement for experience, though I understand that. This is why I try to read between the headlines, but this is not good. This is something else. If RNA is created that is able to replicate itself, then it would be alive. Like, I don't even know what to say about this. RNA must make extremely close copies to the original for Darwinian evolution to occur. If anything goes wrong, things start to deteriorate fast, and like an old wonky photocopy machine. There's another one of my words. I legit made that word up. And everybody uses it now all over the... Like, I don't know what to think of all this. I'm kind of getting overwhelmed. Everything we've talked about is like now a headline. And if you've been with me this whole time, you know that. Everything. And it's awfully surreal. Even the chocolate. You guys just saw the chocolate one. So, RNA. Yeah, make of that what you will. But we are tinkering with things we should not be tinkering with. Okay. Probably last but not least, well, I don't know if you guys need to see the other ones or not. What time are we at? I don't like to go too long. When to see the eclipse comet that may photobomb April's big event. So this is the thing with the horns that they are calling, jokingly or whatever, the Lucifer comet, the devil comet, all right? A comet that last visited the solar system in the year of Queen Elizabeth II's coronation is brightening in Earth's night sky as it gets closer to the sun. Amateur astronomers report that comet 12P, a ball of rock, ice, and dust about 18 miles in diameter that orbits the sun every 71 years, is now on the cusp of naked eye visibility. If the trend continues, then it could become a naked eye object during the eclipse. Although this one is known to flare as it reaches the inner solar system, comets are notoriously difficult to predict. Now, it's saying that you can see this with the naked eye. However, if you're in an area with a lot of light pollution like a city, you might have trouble. And she goes on to tell you at the end where to look for it, but that you can also see it. Hold, please. So around April 21st is when to try for a view of the Devil Comet, although the easiest time to see it will be April 12th, when it's closest to Jupiter. So around April 21st is when to try for a view of the Devil Comet. Well, then why are you telling us April 12th? Look, guys, that's an inversion, too. April 21, April 12. 2-1, 1-2. Oh my God, look, it's everywhere. April 21, June 2, 2. 2, 1, 1, 2. This is bizarre. I'm sorry, I know most people don't operate that way, but it does. It's bizarre to me. Now, this is something interesting, too, because I want to tell you my thoughts on meteorites and fire falling from the sky and the angel at the end of days who has the censer. It's very likely that that censer is filled from lava within a volcano and or a caldera. Okay? And then is thrown, literally, onto the earth and the people of the earth. Is that what happened at Sodom and Gomorrah? Again, science will take credit for certain things. They don't want you to know that it's a creator behind all of this. 12 months of record ocean heat that has scientists puzzled and concerned. Okay? It's not just an entire year of record-breaking ocean temperatures, but it's the margin. It's not even close to what the previous record was. Okay? Human-caused climate change. No, that's not what it is. It's very possible, though, there are a lot of sleeping volcanoes in the oceans. It's very possible these things are starting to go off and they are heating the water because it would take time, to reach areas and whatnot. But it's very possible that something like that could occur. All right, this video has been long enough. I'm going to end it. Watch for a couple shorter uploads just on some interesting observations that I wanted to make. And I hope you guys are well. I hope you pray for me as I do pray for you. I'm going to be reading the Sermon on the Mount, I think. I'm putting it up on the other channel for anyone that is interested. Thank you for being here. Again, I would appreciate the thumbs up just so I know I'm doing all right. And that it's not just my enemies watching the channel. But I love you still, and I pray for you all. Have a blessed